to this video tutorial today as we unpack some more improvements we've made in Paramics Discovery version 25, which we launched last November 2021. So this is the 14th in our series of video tutorials, and if you haven't seen the other ones, I would encourage you to go and have a look at them. And we're bringing even more improvements today, looking at the Simulate tab and the Analyse tab. So let's jump straight in and check out these improvements. So to demonstrate the improvements we've made to the Simulate and the Analyse tab within Paramics Discovery, I'm going to compare a version 24 model and a version 25 model. So that's going to be the simplest way to show you the differences between those two versions. Now we've got exactly the same model in both that we're going to be using, and I'll be able to just highlight where the changes are. To make it easier, I've got my version 24 model with this blue background in the Analyse tab, and my version 25 model I've got with a green background in the Analyse tab. So if it's blue, it's the version 24, and if it's green, it's version 25. Now, one of the first changes that we can see is at the top left-hand side of the screen here, where we've brought into the Analyse tab some of the features that existed in the Edit Network and Visualize tabs for quite a long time. And we've just brought them into the Analyse tab to kind of upgrade that and make it work in the same way as those other two. So we can see here we've got all of the same panning and selection options, as well as the ability to lock the view. So in version 24, go back here, you couldn't previously lock the view. We move that away and go to Visualize tab. You can see the views are completely different. In version 25, with my lock view toggled on, if I move the model in the Analyse tab, it will be the same in the Visualize tab. Okay, so I can now lock the view in the Analyse tab. The other thing that we've introduced is all of the 3D visualization within the Analyse tab. So if I hit the hotkey full stop, I can go into 3D mode in my Analyse tab, and I can scan around it just in exactly the same way as I would in the Edit Network and the Visualize tabs. Okay, I'm back into 2D. So that's the first thing to note as an improvement in version 25. Now I'm going to go to the Simulate tab next to show you some of the changes in there. So this is version 25 within the Simulate tab, and it looks a little bit different to what we've previously had in version 24. So version 24 looked like this, where you had your run configuration across the top, and then you had a button on the side here where you could click to see the outputs and toggle on various outputs that you wanted to collect. So we've just done some simple restructuring to make it a little bit simpler, we think, a little bit cleaner and easier to use. So we've now got more space at the top for our run configurations, and that's because we've added a couple of things in there as well. And then down the left hand side here is where you select all your different options for which outputs you want to collect. Again, we've just tidied it up. We've brought it in line with some of the rest of the product as well. Now, the other thing to note within the Simulate tab in the run configurations is a new option here where we toggled on Summarise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the AM period for 5 runs in version 25. I'm going to do the same in version 24, and we're going to see the impact of this Summarise option here. So let me click play on that, and you can see the runs are starting. I'm going to go to my 25 model and click play, and the runs are starting there. Now I'm collecting exactly the same outputs in both models, so they'll be comparable. Okay, so my runs are now completed within my 24 model here. We can see the green circle is indicating that. When I click on run, I can see some details about the output in the process. We go to my 25 model, I can see all the runs are also complete in there. Now, interestingly, I've got this extra line in here, which is telling me that I've got an AM summary. And that's because I toggle on this new option here called Summarise. And essentially what that's done is, as part of the simulation, it's collected all of the outputs from the different runs, and then it's done the summarizing of those outputs. and formatting those into CSV files in the same format that we would get for individual runs. So you can see the list of CSV files is shown down here, and some details about those files, the number of lines and the size of them. And if I go to show output, I can see those CSV files collected here. Now, you may or may not use the CSV files for your outputs. I know some of our users do, and this can be a useful way of collecting those in one file as opposed to in several files within all the various log folders in here. We also, of course, have the database output, which you may use. Okay, so that's the summarized outputs, which you can now get in Paramics Discovery 25. We're going to look a little bit more at the Analyze tab and see some more changes in there. So I'm going to click back to the Analyze tab. The green background, that's my version 25 model, and in my 24 model, I will also click in there. Okay, so we've made other changes to how we do data plots within the Analyze tab. So if I go to Analyze and Data Plots, I'm just going to add one here. It doesn't really matter what I'm choosing. It's picking link counts as default, so we'll just leave it as that. And we can see that link counts are being displayed on the network as part of that data plot. I'm also going to do that in my version 25 model. Just go to Analyze, Data Plots, and add one in, which will also be link counts by default. Okay. Now the changes are really occur in some of the options at the bottom of the screen here. So one of the new changes I've got is this duplicate option. So we can see in our version 24 model, we don't have the duplicate. In version 25 we do. And that simply means I can take a data plot which I've already created, hit duplicate, and it adds a copy of that. If I just wanted to make one small change or a couple of changes to the data plot, that's quite a useful thing to do. It's just duplicate. The other change in here is to import data plots. So now as we create them in one model, you could save the different configurations that you've got for your data plots and then import those into another model. So this can be quite useful. So if I just add another example and maybe make this one turn counts instead of link counts. So I've got 3 data plots in here. I'm going to save that model like so. And then I'm just going to delete the 3 data plots that I've got. Now if I go to import data plots, I can click on my analysis file. So you see it's .analysis. And I can see the 3 data plots which I had created listed in this file. And I get a choice of which ones I want to import back in. So let's say I want to import 1 and 3, but not the copy of 1. Click on import and it brings those 2 data plots back in. So by saving the model, it automatically saves a configuration file, and I can upload that into any model and use the data plot configurations that I've set up, which is really useful. Thank you for joining us today as we have looked at some of the improvements made in the Simulate and the Analyse tab within Paramics Discovery version 25. And lots of these improvements are small, but they're all focused on just making your life that little bit easier as you use Paramics Discovery in your work. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back with another video tutorial in the next week or two. Until then, bye for now.